Hey everybody, Amitabha Metalove here. I'm loving you, and I just wanted to make this little video about a reflection I had in the bath. I just got out. And it has to do with why we do what we do, why we think what we think, why we believe what we believe. And I think that there are different levels of action. You know, there's the level of thought, which is an action. There's the level of speech and the level of physical action. And each one requires more and more impetus. So I was laying there in the bath, and I found myself get up quickly. And this has happened to me many times in the past. A lot of these videos that I make for you are created out of this inspiration. And I just was contemplating the source of, so-called inspiration, and I'm thinking, looking at it and seeing that what was there before the inspiration? What was there before the inspiration? What's there before we get angry? What's there before we have a belief about something? You really, we think that, beliefs and actions and words happen spontaneously. But I reflected on a volcano, and I thought about this. I thought about when a volcano erupts, that's the expression, right? But before the volcano erupts, there's already the causes in place for that eruption. And there are things that created the causes for the eruption. Certain things came together. The earth was in a certain state, heated up through pressure, whatever the means are. And eventually they came to this point where there was no going back. And it just exploded, right? And then it's expressed. And then what happens with the volcano? It's not always good, is it? It may look, incredibly beautiful and amazing and awe-inspiring from a distance, but if you're too close to it, it can kill you, right? So that's not to say that all expressions are damaging. Not all expressions are equally wholesome or unwholesome. But I was just thinking about this idea, this contemplation about where inspiration really comes from. And a lot of times it's not just a flash. It's been boiling under the surface for some time. And then all of a sudden, like when you open up a can of soda and it's been shaken, it will effervesce and erupt. So our inspirations and our upsets are all the same. So through this body and mind, we're going to have expressions happen. It's inevitable, but it doesn't have to be that way. So the contemplation is this. It's considering that I have an unconscious mind. When I was sitting in the tub, laying in the tub, I didn't think I would like to have an inspiration right now and then have it happen. It wasn't like that. It happened unconsciously, and that tells me that that's a place of unawakening. That's a place of delusion. I don't know where it came from, and then it was just there because I wasn't aware of the processes that occurred that led to that, the cause and effect, which is called karma. Karma is simply cause and effect. There's a cause and effect for everything. And the Buddhist teachings guide us to look deeply within the mind and body and find those causes and watch it so that we can be aware of it and we can stop erupting in these huge expressions of, inspiration. And I got to act on it right now. Is that really a wholesome thing? Or I have to say it right now. Or anger, and I have to express it right now, or I have to oppress it, or I have to fight against it. It's such a heavy thing, or upset, or sadness, or whatever it is, or even extreme joy. All these things happen because there are things under the surface the causes for liking and disliking are under the surface. And when something in the mind or in the world, or when somebody says something, when it matches up with the cause within us for liking or disliking, or inspiration or a delusion, or happiness or sadness, what happens is, if it provides another impetus, that little piece has enough impetus, enough power to bubble up and come out of our consciousness, out of our minds, out of our bodies. And it all really comes down to feeling, It's because we're not 24/7 and deeply enough tapped into our feelings. And everybody talks about, not everybody talks about, but, we all, whether we know it or not, want to be in control of our lives, in control of our happiness and our destinies. And yet, how can we possibly be in control of anything if we're not able to control what comes out of our mind, what comes out of our thoughts, what comes out of our mouths? How can we be in control of anything if we can't even manage our feelings, if we can become overwhelmed by our feelings? This is the path to peace. The Buddha taught us how to become supremely peaceful. And the way to do that is through mindfulness, through becoming deeply aware of the processes that are occurring in the body and mind. So the feelings, actually understanding and sensing the feelings, getting out of the distraction, the life of distraction, and starting to deeply feel, so that as things arise, as the volcano starts to rise up, before it erupts, you can see some type of movement, some type of disturbance, some type of agitation. And that could be an inspiration moving. But there's going to be something that comes beforehand. It's never an isolated incident. So I just want to share these ideas with you, these reflections, and something that we can do, and the way we can become more aware of what's happening, so that we can act and choose consciously and actually be more in control of our lives. Is through mindfulness meditation. So sitting down, taking some time, being with your breath, with something that you don't consciously control, but that you can consciously control. So the breath is like that. It's not like a thought where you have to... thought can be like that too. You can consciously choose a thought, but it becomes unconscious so quickly, and it's so hard to catch. The breath is always being unconsciously, working for us. So if we can bring our awareness to the breath, what happens is we bring it back and back again. So we're bringing more awakeness, more awareness, more alertness, more control, more enlightenment, more seeing the breath as it is, seeing the truth. The breath is moving in and out. It's deep or shallow. It's heavy or soft. It's it could be short. It could be broken up. So there's lots of different types of breath, and if we observe the breath, eventually that act of bringing it back again and again will create some mindfulness power in the mind. So it allows us to have more consciousness in our lives. We have a greater ability to stop the eruptions, because doesn't matter if you have an inspiration and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Does it really matter if you act on it right this second, or if you have the most beautiful thought in your mind? Does it really matter if you express it right at that second? Isn't it okay if it waits 10 seconds or a minute while we observe it and see where it comes from first, to see if it really needs to be expressed or if it's really beneficial? This is one of the things I've struggled with so much in my life. I still do. So this is a work in progress for me. And definitely with actions. We definitely want to put the brakes on with actions. We don't want to be, thoughts are one thing. They're capable of damaging ourselves, right? Words are capable of damaging ourselves and others. And then actions are really capable of damaging ourselves and others. So with our thoughts, we can harm our mind. With our words, we can harm the mind of others. And with our actions, we can harm the bodies of others. So we have to think about, actions. We have to really put the brakes on each each next level of expression, we have to stop that and make sure that we're acting in a way that's wise. Make sure that we're acting in a way that's only going to bring goodness into this world. That's all we really want. We want peace and goodness. So this act of bringing our minds back, and we can do it all day long. Ajahn Chah says, if you have time to breathe, you have time to meditate. So we can become aware of the body, the air moving in and out, the belly moving in and out, the air at the nose. It's harder to do that when we're working, but you can use more conscious breaths. We can do it consciously, and that will bring more control, more awareness, more consciousness into our lives and give us more empowerment. It's what we want to. We want to be empowered so that we can actually be happy. And in order to do that, we have to let go of those things that are getting in the way of seeing, getting in the way of mindfulness, because you have to let go of the thoughts, the upsets, everything that arises, the pain, whatever it is, you see it, you allow it, and you let it go, and then you start to develop a little bit more skill in whether I should express this, or should I think this, should I continue this train of thought, should I continue these words, should I let them go, it allows you to self-regulate. And that's really, really important. So we want to be completely self-reliant, and if we want to do that, we have to completely self-regulate ourselves. And that means making sure we're not just, volcanoes just waiting to explode, all the time. Whether it be a wholesome inspiration, or anger, or upset, or aversion, or anything. So it's really about having a choice in our lives. So I want you to have the ultimate choice in your life. I want you to have the ultimate peace and happiness in your life. That's why I'm sharing this video. I'm going to go meditate now so that I can strengthen my resolve to be able to see my mind, my words and my actions, and choose wisely. I love you. Enjoy your day.